So, continuing with my explorations into the tools and materials I got from Creativation, Paper World 2024. As you can see from that opening shot, the stack of papers is increasing dramatically. So let's just go back to that. So I have obviously my lining template because I needed to rule up some final lines on the PAScribe Rhodia black and gray pad. I've also used the Canson marker pad. I know for some of you this looks different. This is the color pad that you get in the UK and in Europe. It's a slightly different color in the US, but it's the same paper. I also use the Bien Fang marker pad and the Rhodia number 19 because they're all very different. They interact differently. They feel different. For instance, the Bien Fang marker pad is a little bit more open in its paper weave. The Canson marker pad is a little bit more, it's a little bit harder and solid on the surface. So that allows the ink to sit on the surface. And the Rhodia 19 is really quite dense and it has a lot of filler in it. So it's really bright and it affects the way in which the ink sits on the surface differently. Each of these have a different experience in the writing as well, because when it comes to writing, the Rhodia number 19, the orange pad, this one, it slows the writing implement down a little bit more and it gives you a different experience of writing. It's sort of quite a pleasant experience of writing. The Canson marker pad is harder, so the tool slips across the surface a little bit more. And the Bien Fang marker pad is softer, so the tool kind of sinks into the surface a little bit more. So being aware of the way in which the papers work really affect your choice. And as I'll show you with how these products work today, it really affects the effect that you're trying to achieve with the tools and materials. So today's tools in question. So I was absolutely not wanting to walk miles around to go from hall 4 all the way down to 3 and then across to 3 and then across and across again to 1.1. And I thought, oh, 1.1 is over there. So I thought I would cut across the parking lot. And of course, as I came up out of the parking lot, right there was Edding. They had a really great stand, a really wonderful display with all their products up and quite a lot of new products as well, which was really quite interesting. I didn't really, get my hands on any of those because I didn't want to be lugging that kind of thing back and forth. They had some refillable whiteboard markers, which sounded really quite nice. I would like to test those some other time. I'll have a look at their site and see if I can get some in, but I don't have a whiteboard in the studio. So I thought I would opt for the writing implements. So I've sort of separated them out, and this is what we have. So these are their brush pens. So these are the metallic ones, and then these are the ink ones. Let's just sort of try and keep that in the shot. Out a little. And these are their rollerball pens. So there's a blue, a red, copper, a gold, a silver, and a white. They're obviously excellent for the black and the gray pad. And then, of course, these are their broad-edged markers in a 2, 3.5, and a 5. That's obviously, this video is going to be a little bit long because I need to go through 4 different types of products across a few different types of pads. So let's start with the rollerball pens. Okay, so with the rollerball pens, I've already ruled up some sheets using the PAScribe lining template. So this is at 4 mil. So remember the lines on the lining on the PAScribe Rhodia pads are 6 mil. And if you just drop the lining template onto the pad, like so. So this is the largest template that there is on the market. It is also the thickest. So it is just about the size of a US letter size, but it's the width of an A4 pad. So it really works quite well for both US letter size and for A4. It works on US architectural, which is 9x12, which is what the Bien Fang marker pad is. And it can help you find the center of lots of things like A5, A6, 8x6, 7x5. There are lots of videos on this. If you want to see the videos, by all means, scan the QR code if you have the lining template, or go to my tap link if you're on Instagram. If you want to see that, I'm happy to post the link because there's like 48 videos. Now, at its simplest, if you put this, you line up the bottom of a cut to the line, and you just rule up, you get 3 mil. So it halves the line height of the PAScribe Radial pads, really allowing you to use it for correspondence. Now, I'm not going to put actually, maybe I will do. So I want to write at 52 degrees because I'm going to use my PAScribe slanted italic, which is very similar to PAScript. That is 52 degrees. So I'm just going to line up the 52 on the edge there. And I'm going to line up the 52 on the top. So normally I use the pins for this. And, I'm using a Pentel 0.3. And I'm just going to do every other one. There's a little line that tells you where every other one is. So fairly easy to sort of work that out. And let's get started. So I actually meant to do this on the gray, but I ended up doing it on the black. All right. So obviously, so let's start with the metallic colors because the blue and the red will not work on the black paper. Actually, let's start with the white. So that's the white at 3 mil. So that works really well. Maybe I need to be a little bit conscious about that. That hugs the paper quite nicely. Just remember to put the cap back on. Let's go to the silver. So they're working quite well. I think I prefer them at 4 mil. So this tip is large. I'm trying to find it's a 0.7 mil tip. So I think 4 mil would be better than 3. 6 is a little bit high, so you probably get away with between 4 and 5 mil. This is the gold. It's a really nice gold. It's quite smooth. It works really well on the pad. And then this is the copper. Very nice. Very, very, very nice. Really, really beautiful and lovely to write with. Let's grab the gray pad. So I've only ruled these up at 4 mil because I knew that I was having some issues with them at 3 mil, simply because 0.7 is quite a large tip to work with. Wow, really, really nice to write with, really smooth. Obviously, I will leave these, and at the end of this video, I will show you them once they've dried. The silver is nice and bright. If I can give you a better picture. So that's the white and that's the silver. So I know when they're flat, you kind of this look kind of the same, but when you tilt them, you really see that silver shining quite nicely. Gold. Nice and bright. I'll tilt that once I finish this. And then this is the bronze or the copper. Actually, it's more copper than bronze. What? Very nice indeed. Right, now on the gray pad, let's try the red. So this is also 0.7 millimeter. Now, white, silver, gold, and copper always tend to come out a little bit thicker. It might be that this works better at 4 to 3 mil. So the size, it's not just about the size of the tip, it's also about the type of ink that's in it, because that then affects how quickly the ink flows. So as you can see, the red lines, the writing in the red is actually thinner than the white and the silver and the gold and the copper. And that's great. The blue is the red and the blue flip across the gray pad quite beautifully. Let's try it on. So I've already tried it on the Bienfang marker pad. So you can see the range of colors there. They're quite nice and solid. Of course, you can also see that I was struggling to get the silver working, so I had to actually heat it up a little bit just to get that working a little bit. And there's the white, which obviously I was just testing it to see. And this is where I was figuring out the size of what was the optimum writing size of these tools. So I think 4 to 5 mil for the white, silver, gold, and copper, and 3 to 4 mil for the red and the blue. No, I didn't see a black pen on their booth, so I'm not sure if they carry a black. I mean, if they don't carry a black, that's crazy, because the blue and the red work so wonderfully. I mean, they should just have a full range of colors in these. All right, so let's look at the other tools. Let's do the broad edge markers next, and we'll start on the gray paper. Here. So this is the 2.0. I'm going to work at 6 mil. That's the height of the pad. That's quite nice. That works really well. And let's do the 3.5. So I'll need to work at 12 mil. A little bit of mixing of scripts here. And let's try the 5. So I'll need 18 mil for that. Okay, so let's hop over to some white pads. Where is the Oh, you're doing open. So, right. So on a blank pad, you can just I tend to line the template up to the bottom of the pad because it's cut. If it's in the block, it's easy. Not in the block, I would suggest you come on. I would suggest you just get a ruler, line the page up to the bottom of the ruler, and then just abut the template to the ruler and the page. Move this down so you can see what I'm doing. I'm holding that in place. I'm not pinning it in place because I'm actually really careful with how I think I'll need anything more than that. You roll up the other sheets. So that's the Rhodium 19. Again, I'm just butting this up. I'm just butting this up to the bottom of the sheet. And I'm placing the template on top of it. Just to rule some 12mm lines. If I wanted smaller lines, obviously I can do that. See how easy this is. Template. Actually really easy. And that's the Bean Fang marker pad. Let me just find the center of this. So A to A, A, and where's the E. Okay, line these central holes up. They find the center as well. So, and up. So I tend to go back and forth on this. So I go this way, then this way, then this way. So this is it's a really cool pattern called Bostrophodon, which means the direction an ox plows a field, which is how the ancient Egyptians used to write cursive Egyptian hieroglyphs. But also, it's the Greeks used this way of writing as well. Anyway, that's something completely different. Right, let's have a look at these patterns. So two first. So this is at 6. I'm just sort of guessing at this. Actually, I'll just use the caps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So fractal would work. 1, this is the 3.5, 3, 4, roughly 4. So textualis quadrata would work. 4x height. And the 5 would give us so uncials would work here because x height let's do that on the Hanson. I'll use the same script, so we'll use Fractor for 2. I'll use Textualis Quadrata for the 3.5. And I will use uncials. So this is the Canson. So you can see a very big difference. Well, I can see a big difference between them. Show them to you in a bit. Let's do this on the Rodea. So this is the 2 at Infracture. The 3.5 in Textualis Quadrata. And the 5 in so all work very differently to each other. So that's a Bean Fang marker pad. That felt a little bit softer. This was a lot harder, not as in difficult, but the paper being harder. So you tend to get slightly sharper lines. And this is the Rhodium 19, where the nib sort of sits on the filler. Now, obviously, these won't work. Obviously, these won't work on the black pad because they're not metallic colors. Let me close these. 2, 5, 5.4. Right. Get to the brushes. Okay, so it's already quite a long video. So I'm going to do the brushes slightly differently rather than just going through them individually. I'll do that in a much longer video, which I will post on YouTube, because it'll need to be a little bit more detailed than I can go through here. I'm already at 22 minutes. So let's look. I noticed something with the brush pens. So the brush pens work very differently to each other. The metallic brush pens, like the metallic markers, give a thicker and bigger line, and the pigmented ink and brush pens give a thinner line. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. Right, so let's take the gold. The metals show up really wonderfully. Now, I haven't tested them on the black and the gray pad, but I have done them on the whites. So that, do you see how flexible that tip is? Now, if we look at it in the brown, in the ink, it's the same size tip. So it doesn't flex as much. So don't be fooled into thinking because, oh, the tips are slightly different actually. So the gold one is thinner, longer, and narrower, and the brown one is shorter, squatter, and a little bit harder. So I would call this a soft tip. And I would call this, what would I call this? I wouldn't call it a hard tip. I would probably call it a medium tip. A little bit of flex in it. I knew I wasn't going crazy. I tested this earlier on. So this is the purple, which is the same width as the. I didn't do this exercise with brown. So the purple is the same width. It's the same tip as the gold, but it doesn't flex as much. So that makes things nice and complicated. Where's that brown? Let's just put it back on. I wonder if they have different tips for the browns. 1.4. Okay, so right. So this is the porcelain brush pen, which is 1 to 4, and then this is the Edding 1340 brush pen. So obviously there are different tips. The gold is in the 1340 as well. I think I need to contact Edding and have them send me some of these and really do a nice detailed exercise on this. So you can see how the gold shows up. So this is the gold, this is the metallic silver, this is the normal brown, that's the red, and that is the normal, metallic purple, and that's the normal purple. Here you can really see it on the Bean Fang marker pad. That's the gold, that's the metallic purple. You can see just a bit. You can see how different that is from this. On the Rhodia pad, that's the gold. But let's look at it on the black and the gray pad, because that's really what I wanted to look at them for. So this is the silver pad. Let's look at the gold on the gray pad. Sorry. You have a really nice line. Just be careful not to press too hard, because I don't know if you can see. Because the tip is so flexible, I pressed and the edge got down onto the page and scored the page. So be really careful. And that's sitting really quite nicely on the silver pad, on the gray pad. Here is the silver. The flow of color is pretty impressive. There's a metallic red. Kind of really loving these. Wow. Look at color. Wow, that just sort of drops out of there. Let's do it on the black as well. Oh, where were we? Gold at 18 mil. So make sure you, I know I'm demonstrating the tools, but I hope that I'm also adding a little bit of knowledge to how you approach your writing. So make sure I generally touch the two lines in, so I know what I'm working at. So I'm working at 18 mil. I wouldn't suggest you write smaller than 18 mil with these tips, because they are quite flexible and they're quite large. That's the gold. That's silver. I mean, on the black, it looks great. Purple. Red. It's a real sort of carmine red with a little bit of mica in it. What? Really quite impressive. Really nice range of color and intensity. There. Right. Oh, did I mix these up? Direction. Okay. So really quite nice. We'll come back to that. We'll look at them at the end of it. Right. So this is the brown, which you saw before. So with this porcelain tip, I would probably work at 12 mil. I wouldn't want to work at 18 mil, because I think pushing the tip beyond, its ability to flex will just damage it. Of course, this is a 1340 as opposed to the 1:4. We'll need to work at 18 mil. And then this is the red. They must have other colors. I mean, really. So that's quite a hard tip, even though it's the same tip as this. I kind of feel red's better at 12. Works really well, really quite enjoyable. Let's look at it on some white paper as well, you know, because obviously we're at 30 minutes. So I'm only going to do the red. So this is on the Rhodium 19. That's 12 mil. This is on the Canson. A little bit harder on the Canson. It sinks into the paper a little bit on the Rhodium 19. It stays on the surface on the Canson. I mean, it's sinking into the paper on the Rhodium 19, but it's not bleeding. So it's quite nice. On the Canson, it's sort of, it stays where you put it. And then this is the Bean Fang marker pad, which is funny because it's in terms of where am I? In terms of how they work, you'd have Canson as 1 in hardness, then you'd have Bean Fang as 2 in balancing, and then you'd have the Rhodium 19 as 3. So I mean, I'm not putting them in order of grade. I'm putting them in order of how the ink works on the surface. So it stays on the surface on the Canson. It sinks a little bit into the Bean Fang, and then it sinks quite a lot onto the Rhodium 19, which gives 3 very distinct and different kinds of feel and structure to the letter. So again, you know, be very, very careful with the paper you choose, because it will affect the way in which the tools work, and it will affect the kind of look and feel of your final piece. Now, still a wrap up on these. Great tools by Edding. I absolutely adore the roller ball pens. Do they call them roller balls? Gel roller pens. I really love these. I think they're brilliant. Well done, Edding. The calligraphy, the broad-edged markers, I really kind of hate it when people call them calligraphy pens, because that means that they do copperplate script too, because copperplate script is calligraphy and they don't do copperplate. The broad edge markers are good sort of entry-level markers. They're a little bit soft. They can fall apart if you press really hard. Just be really careful with that. It's great that they made them, you know, with 2 sides. So, you know, work with one side first and then work with the other side, so that once you get one side fuzzy and fluffy, you then flip it over and you still have a nice, sharp, accurate bit to it. The brush pens, well, they're now dry. Show you what they look like, because they are pretty damn impressive now they're dried. Mainly more so on the black and the gray pad rather than on, I mean, they're nice on the white. They're really nice on the white paper, but on the black and the gray, they are absolutely phenomenal. So this is what they look like on that's the gray pad. So you can see that sort of settled in quite nicely. And while we're here, we might as well discuss the inks. But they've settled in quite nicely as well. I love the fact that the brown has this kind of sheen to it. That's quite nice. It's very reminiscent of manuscript illumination and the kind of iron gall ink that eventually becomes sepia over years. So you still get that sort of sheen on it. I don't know if that's intentional, but if it's not, it's a great little extra. This is it on the black. It's really beautiful on the black. It really stands out. It's really sharp. And obviously, what I'm seeing in front of me is not what you're seeing. It's way better in front of me than what I'm seeing up on the screen. Okay, so thank you, Edding. Thank you for letting me have some of these products to test. And I hope you enjoyed this very long video. And if you have any questions, by all means, leave them in the comments. If you have any technical questions, I will get Edding to answer you on those. But if it's any calligraphic questions, I'm more than happy to talk you through how I would use these on my pads. I mean, for correspondence, those gel roller pens stick. of course, you know, using the lining template, using the PAScribe lining template. Where is it? Yeah, using the PAScribe lining template to rule up sheets very quickly, as you saw, really makes a huge difference. A couple of people have asked me about the templates. You can get them from John Neal. I'm waiting to restock them in Europe. I've had a few requests for them, so if you have any, you can get them in Asia from Ziply. I'm just working with somebody in the UK, so I'll let you know about that soon. And I will see you guys soon. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye-bye.